So we've woken up this Thursday morning to the dramatic news that FIDE has postponed the candidates tournament. Well, there is so much to discuss, and joining me from his home in Luxembourg is Grandmaster Yannick Peltier. Hi Yannick, how are you doing?
Hello, Daniel. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Thank you. Hope you too.
Yeah, very well. So what's your first reaction to this news?
Well, I was when I read it this morning as well. I was in a way, I was surprised because was not really expected now. So yeah, basically surprised and a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all sort of feeling a whole range of emotions and feelings at the moment. Let me just read out very quickly the statement from FIDE. So it runs like this. Today, the government of the Russian Federation announced that starting March the 27th, 2020, Russia interrupts air traffic with other countries without indicating any timeframes. FIDE cannot continue the tournament without guarantees for the players and officials' safe and timely return home. In this situation, and on the basis of Clause 1.5 Rules of Candidates Tournament, the FIDE president decided to stop the tournament. It will be continued later, with the exact dates to be announced as soon as the global situation related to the COVID-19 pandemic will allow. As it was stipulated by the special rules agreed with the players before the start of the event, the results of the 7 rounds played remain valid, and the tournament will be resumed in the same composition starting with the games of the 8th round. And a little bit more, and then, well, sincerely, Arkady Dvorkovich, FIDE president. So, clearly, their hand was forced by the Russian government interrupting air traffic. I mean, does this seem like a sensible decision to you, Yannick?
Well, they had no choice. They had a choice before the tournament with the Rajabov story. They had the choice just before. On the eve of the event, they had the choice maybe on round 12, and they made everything to have it and to keep it going until now. There is a forced move. It's like you were in check for a few moves and you can choose whether you want to go to e6 or to e5, or then you want to play this or that. And they kept on going with the tournament. And now they have no choice. They have a single legal move possible, basically, and that's the one they decided to make. And we have to accept this decision. Many questions are still open about many topics, but they have no choice now.
Yeah, I mean, so this date of March the 27th is tomorrow, when basically airspace is closed over Russia. So the players are kind of scrambling to get back. According to reports I've read, basically the players were informed this morning that the tournament was being postponed and they should pack immediately. And as I understand it, I've been in touch with some of the production team from the tournament this morning, and they said, the organisers are doing all they can to sort out travel back. Apparently, there might be some kind of charter flight from Yekaterinburg to Amsterdam, but that's all up in the air. But basically, they've got 24 hours, or even less, to get out. So, as you say, it seems like a forced move. There are precedents, of course, to tournaments being interrupted. I suppose the most notable is the World Championship match 1984-85 with Karpov and Kasparov.
Well, yeah, conditions were completely different and the reasons were completely different. Now we are in a state of force majeure, and back then there were many other components, political and so on. Well, now we're just in an emergency state, and the emergency, as you noted, is about people, players, and production crew going out of Russia as soon as possible before it's completely locked, which is very tricky.
So, okay, thinking back to the Rajabov issue. So Timur Rajabov, basically a couple of weeks before the tournament started, said, "Look, this is crazy. I don't want to go through with this, with the epidemic going on." Do you have some sympathy for him now? Because let me recap what they've said in the rules, that basically the tournament will be resumed at a later date with the same composition of players, with the results standing. So, do you have some sympathy for Timur Rajabov?
Well, the text is clear, so Rajabov is out, and
exactly.
We cannot we cannot do without any sympathy for him. Even though I've already been reading a bit on Facebook on people's reactions, saying that Rajabov was right from day one, and we should apologize, and FIDE should apologize, and compensate him in a way. On the other hand, it's a very tricky situation, because FIDE did its utmost to keep the tournament, to make it happen. Whether it was a wise decision or not couldn't really be foreseen 3 or even slightly more than 3 weeks ago. The situation is changing day by day, and I think at the moment when they took the decision, let's say 3 weeks ago, it wasn't so shocking. So it's difficult to say now that Rajabov was right and FIDE was wrong.
Basically the situation escalated so quickly, and actually FIDE, from what everything I've heard, and I've talked to people who are there, they said FIDE are doing or did everything they could to make the situation safe from a health point of view. But yes, this now is an extra issue. Whether Rajabov should be compensated or not is another matter. But obviously I feel sorry for him. I think for FIDE it was a really tough judgment call, actually. And I know that there were. I'm sure you've worked with FIDE a lot as well. Speaking to the people there in FIDE, they were very torn. I know that, but basically made a judgment call. We're going to go through with this. It's a very tough one. So I actually have some understanding for FIDE. I know they've come in for a lot of criticism, but I kind of think it was a tough call.
Well, I would actually not blame FIDE. Even now, the only reason why they stopped the tournament is this abrupt this decision by the Russian government to cut all flights. Otherwise, they would keep on with the tournament. But here they had really no choice, and it's not possible to say that Rajabov foresaw everything and was so clever that, rules were clear back then, and he decided to withdraw from the tournament. He was not excluded from the tournament. He decided to withdraw for perhaps good reasons, but the decision was his. And even though we have sympathy, clearly we have sympathy for his situation at the moment, looking at the situation from FIDE's point of view, they cannot bring him back to the tournament. So how it is going to end up, I have no idea. But for sure, Rajabov should be somehow compensated at first.
Okay,
communication work by FIDE will be important, because you can easily say one word too much or too little and get all the blame then. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Well, listen, let's move away from the postponement and let's talk about the results so far. And in particular, Rajabov's replacement, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. What's your reaction to his excellent results so far?
Well, I think he got the news that he was included in the candidates instead of Rajabov 3 weeks ago, when Rajabov decided to withdraw. So basically he had a week to get ready, to pack his things, travel and get ready. So basically he couldn't really get ready chess-wise. And he's been playing these 7 games. We're very, very fresh chess, very spontaneous, and that's actually the situation for him. Spontaneous news, and he's playing spontaneous chess. He's not under pressure. I mean, he's been hoping to get into the candidates for 2 cycles now. He's failed both times by a hair, and now he's in. So, well, coronavirus or not, I mean, he was certainly very happy about this, whatever the circumstances. So he's playing this free chess, and yesterday's game against Nepomniachtchi was brilliant. And the other players, they had more difficulties to cope for whatever reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you know Maxime very well. You're a good friend of his. I'm going to cast a bit of shadow here. Maxime has been playing very well, but he has a problem, it seems to me, that his opening repertoire is very narrow. And I'm just wondering whether this break will actually be in his favour, because he might be able to prepare a greater variety of opening systems in the meantime. I mean, what do you feel about that?
Well, you're right, but on the other hand, he hasn't been able to prepare for the tournament, but his opponents haven't been able to prepare for him either. So, in a way, they haven't been able to refute the Grunfeld yet, or the Najdorf, even though, well, he escaped by very thin margin against Wang Hao.
Yes.
And he struggled in a few games, but I mean, you won't win a tournament or even play really a brilliant tournament without having this or that game with a lucky escape. I mean, I have hardly ever seen such thing happen. If you remember Carlsen in London to 2013 and so on, I mean, there has been a lot of luck for him as well. So,
but it seems to me this is an opportunity for him to actually.
Well, maybe, but you're mentioning his problem, his main problem being his repertoire. I mean, it's a major. I mean, let's say it's his decision. It's a major issue which he has to deal with, but he has another problem. It's more a psychological nature that usually he falls at the last step. So basically, he does everything right until he's within reach of what he wants to get, and then he falls. And sometimes he was not lucky with rating and so on. But if you look at the World Cup against the semi-final against Rajabov, or the Grand Prix Jerusalem, he collapses is maybe not the right word, but he fails at the last moment. And what's going to happen with the candidates? I think he has to deal with this issue more than any other. And perhaps, again, this spontaneous inclusion into this tournament was kind of washing away this problem. He just comes, plays through the tournament, and, well, wins it or not. But basically, maybe he didn't have too much time to think about all these issues. He's in the flow, and it goes through, and then he comes home, and he's won the tournament. Well, now he has. We don't know how much time, but he has a few months to digest this information and to understand that he has a good chance to win this event. I mean, a fair chance together with Nepomniachtchi here. They'll have
let's talk about
Jan Nepomniachtchi. I mean, what do you think his chances are now? They're obviously sharing the lead. Just to recap, everyone, they both have 4.5 out of 7, and then there are 4 players on 3.5. But yes, what do you think of Jan's chances now?
It's also a little bit tricky because I don't know him too well, but I'm not sure. I mean, he's been making comments in the press conferences that he wasn't feeling too well, that he thought that the event should be stopped. But how sincere this was, or how it could also be a strategy to try and fool his opponents. So it's difficult to say how disturbed he was by the situation. In any case, I think both leaders do not benefit from the tournament being postponed.
Really?
I think so, because they are on the rolls. It can only benefit. Okay, now if we quickly talk about Dingliren, I think the 2-point gap he has with the leaders is probably too big to make up.
But Fabiano,
Fabiano, I think. Well, he actually, from him we heard absolutely nothing. I think I didn't hear anything negative from him. He's just there. He plays not too well at the moment, but he doesn't seem to be concerned, or at least he doesn't show any concern about the situation. So so he seemed very balanced, even though.
Yeah,
I think he is very balanced. Just generally, that's of course is his personality, his character. But yes, maybe it'll give him time to regroup as well. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Nepomniachtchi just lost against MVL, so to him this break could come in handy, but not such a long break. I think I didn't expect him to be on +2 after the first half beforehand. So basically, he's doing really well despite preparation, which is not optimal in all games. I'd say. At least his choice of playing the French Wiener is very tricky.
Well, I mean his decision to play it against Maxime yesterday, I think, was extraordinary. I mean, if he'd got away with this, everyone would have said, "Oh, yeah, brilliant." But I'm afraid the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and I'm afraid it didn't taste good. I mean, Maxime played extremely well, but I think it was such a risky choice to play it for a second time. Well, there we go. Listen, Yannick, thanks very much for your thoughts.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Who's the favourite?
Well, I don't know really. First of all, we should be worried about the question when and where is it going to happen. I mean, I guess probably Ekaterinburg still, but when and the which circumstances, because now everything stops for, let's say, until after the summer. Many tournaments postponed and cancelled, but postponed. So maybe everything will be placed together in autumn. Who knows? Let's hope at least. And I don't know. I really don't know. I would say perhaps Nepomniachtchi, but he's not too stable. Basically, I haven't seen too much stability of this player in the past. And MVL is a favorite if he manages to cope with his psychological problem of the last step.
Yeah,
and they have a point. They have a point advantage. But the next two games, MVL is playing two blacks against Caruana and Dingleren. So not an easy start, let's say.
No, it's you mentioned the question of when and where the tournament we resumed, and this is really tricky. I mean, they're talking about that Yekaterinburg still wants to host, but who knows what the health situation is going to be like in Russia over the next few months. Anyway, we'll see. There could, of course, be a knock-on effect. World Championship match in December could be postponed. Anyway, we shall see. But anyway, for the time being, listen, Yannick, thank you very much for joining me for a quick chat.
Thanks a lot, Daniel.
We'll be in touch, and hopefully we'll have some more recordings from you on the channel, which would be really nice.
All right, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, listen, thanks. Bye, and thanks everyone for watching.
Take care.
Bye now.